Hello and welcome to the Year 8 presentation for the ICT faculty option. We're going to spend a bit of time talking through tonight what we actually offer and the difference between the three subjects that fall under our faculty umbrella. By choosing to study in the ICT faculty, you will be taught by either myself, that's Miss Hewitt, or Mr. Khan. Both of us have taught all three of the subjects that we cover for a number of years now. So that's computer science, business studies and iMedia. So let's take a look at computer science first. Computer science course puts a lot of emphasis on how technology actually works and understanding those computer systems. This course would appeal to students who are interested in programming and who want to know how the computer systems work from the inner workings of the computer. So in year 9 we would begin with networking, where we look at the different topologies, the different protocols that are used and generally how to set up networks. We would then move on to working with binary, so understanding how computers understand what we're asking of them and being able to do calculations with binary. And then we move on finally to programming, where we're likely to use Python. It seems to be a popular one at GCSE, and we would look at using algorithms to plan out codes that we're going to do, using flowcharts as well, creating the code and evaluating it. Also, we'll be doing some testing on how well the code works and if there's any issues with it. So when you choose to study under the ICT faculty, you would cover computer science, business studies and iMedia. Should you choose to then study them further, so into year 10 and 11, you then get to pick between those individual subjects rather than doing all three like you would in year 9. If you chose to go into doing computer science in year 10 and 11, we build on the knowledge that you gained in year 9 by looking at things like ethical, environmental and cultural impacts of ICT. We would also look at some different IDEs, and we delve into things like von Neumann architecture, security and lots of other things. So I have popped them on the slide here. They're on the middle two boxes. They're the unit headings if you were wanting to have a look at the spec and see what else is available on there. I'm now going to pass you over to Mr. Khan, who's going to tell you all about business studies and iMedia.
Hello, my name is Mr. Khan. I'm the head of business studies here at Clifton School, and I will be giving you a brief outline as to why business might be the option for you. To begin with, let's have a look at what students actually learn about. So in the center of your screen, I've given you a bullet pointed list of just some of the key areas that are covered on this course. We've got people management, law, marketing, finance, production, and then finally global influences. Each of these units actually encompasses many different career prospects for the students. What I mean by this is, if a student was to take business studies, well, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go and just start a business in the town centre. No, well, you might go into accountancy, you might go into law. By the end of year 11, students will be sitting 2 exams. Each paper is made up of 80 marks and 3 units. The first 3 units are in the center of the screen right now. So we've got business activity, we've got marketing, and we've got people. The second exam is made up of an additional 3 units. We've got operations, we've got finance, and we've got influences on business. How will the work be assessed? In the center of the screen, I've given you a breakdown of the different methods we use to assess and track student progress. To begin with, at the end of each unit, students sit an assessment. In the assessment, I will have multiple choice questions to begin with, and this might just test basic knowledge, basic understanding of key terminology that we've used in that unit. We then go into a bit more detail. So for 4 markers, for 6 markers, this will be the discuss, recommend and analyze type questions, things that they will be expected to do on the exam paper. So all this practice will hopefully pay dividends. We also set homework every 2 weeks. This is tracked and recorded in the student's book, and obviously any areas of weakness are highlighted, and then we purple text those areas to make sure pupils are still learning from their mistakes. At the bottom of the screen here, I've just given you another breakdown of the exam process. So 2 exams, 50% each, 80 marks on each paper, 15 of which are multiple choice. And what I haven't mentioned so far is each exam is 1 hour and 30 minutes. So what is iMedia, and what is this going to mean for you when you choose this as an option? Well, iMedia focuses on 4 different units of work. So you will be doing 4 different pieces of coursework. At the end of this course, there is also a written exam. So you will have to sit an exam in the hall. The 4 units of work are built around you using different types of software. So we might be using photo editing software. We might be using video editing software. So you need to have a good understanding of different types of software. Along the course though, there is a lot of planning and a lot of preparation that has to take place. And the bullet points that I've given you in the center of the screen there, first one being purpose and audience. For every unit, you are going to be given a scenario. We call it a client brief. You are going to have to analyze this client brief. You are going to have to pick out what the purpose of the project is. You are going to have to decide who the audience is before we can start anything on the project. When it comes to the video editing project, well, before you can be given a camera or a phone to record your video, you've got to do all the planning that goes into doing any project. That involves writing everything in your script, doing a storyboard, and doing a work plan. All this has to be done for every single unit. So don't be under this illusion that on day one you are going to be sat in front of a computer where you get to use Photoshop, for instance. That is not going to happen because there's a lot of planning that goes into each of the units. You also get to investigate the different elements of ICT. So we look at file compression, we look at file types, the benefits and drawbacks of using each file type. So we look at MP3s, MP4s, and we compare the different variety of image files, so JPEG, PNG. Again, if you've got a good understanding of these beforehand, it's going to come in really, really handy.
So if you are considering choosing ICT as one of your options, there's a couple of entry requirements. So really, students who choose to study ICT or under ICT, so Computer Science, Business Studies and iMedia, really need to make sure that they have the basic functional skills on a computer. You should be able to log in efficiently. You should be able to use the Google Suite and you should be able to use some of the shortcuts that are on the keyboard. Now, expectations wise, homework is set for all 3 of the topics, and that should be completed in full and on time. Not all lessons will be done on a computer. So if you're thinking of choosing this because you're just wanting to use the computers, I wouldn't recommend it, purely because we do have books that we expect you to write in, because at the end of year 11, all of the courses that we offer have an assessment that is written on paper. So we have to mimic that in our lessons. Most lessons will be on computers. However, there is book work that goes alongside it. Assessments are sometimes done on paper as well. And it just means that you are not guaranteed to be using a computer when you choose these subjects.
In terms of careers for the 3 different subjects that you will be covering with us, when it comes to computer science, there's a variety of different areas that it goes into. We can't cover them all on a slide here for you, but we've given you some of the key areas. So we've got forensic computer analyst, we've got software developer, and of course leading into doing qualifications at universities such as degrees. You might be interested in going into teaching, for instance. So there's a lot of demand for computer scientists in the country right now. In terms of business, I've started by mentioning A-levels and degree, because obviously doing this in school will mean it gives you a really good foothold to get onto a course in college and then eventually a degree. Once you've got the knowledge, there is nothing stopping you setting up your own company. This might be something that you choose to do as a physical business, or you might choose to take the online route. So setting up a website, for instance. You might not want to set your own company up. Well, that's not a problem. You might choose to go down the investment route. So trading stocks, buying and selling shares. I've given you a list of other areas that you can sort of venture off into. So politics, management and law. Finally, with iMedia, Well, as I mentioned earlier, you are going to be using many different software packages, which means you are going to become a specialist in that area. Yes, you might be building a website. Well, if you can build a website, that instantly makes you a web developer. So that's an area you can go into. Social media manager, although this is briefly covered within the unit, this is something that you could go into, which you study then at college and university further. We covered a lot of marketing elements, so advertising, media, and of course that means the broadcasting side of careers is something you could venture off into also.
So that's it for our options presentation this evening. If you do have any questions, you will have an opportunity to ask us about those now. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to watch with us, and good night.